You have just stepped into the Midlife Revolution, your space to ignite possibility, redefine purpose, and embrace the power that comes with age. Co-hosted by yours truly, Coach Wayne.
And I'm Coach Stacy M. Lewis, and we're two seasoned coaches focused on the midlife community of color. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement. In a world that sometimes forgets the power and the wisdom that comes with age, we're here to ignite a revolution and rewrite the narrative of this incredible journey.
So, whether you're navigating career shifts, rediscovering passions, or challenging the status quo, this is your space. So buckle up. Let's dive into the midlife revolution. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. It is another Tuesday. It's the 27th of August, and we are moving forward. So summer is officially over, isn't it not, Stacy?
No. Don't you all know sometime Wayne gets the date wrong. He got the date right today, but he is wrong about summer being over. It is not over yet. We still have almost another month until summer is officially over. So let's not speed it up. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Midlife Revolution. It is indeed our pleasure and joy to have you here. Good morning, Curtis. We appreciate you. You are one of our favorite guests, our listenership, our followership. We appreciate you, Curtis. I am Stacy M. Lewis. I am a midlife women's coach. I am a nonprofit executive, and I'm excited to be here celebrating. We are really celebrating. We don't have any fanfare today, but we are celebrating our season finale. It has been such a joy, a journey joy, and we are excited today to talk about building grit and determination. And I am super excited, as always, to be joined by my co-host, the one and the only Coach Wayne Dawson.
Good morning again. And so I'm Coach Wayne, the VIP coach. And what I do is I help brothers work through and up to midlife. And so if you're a man looking at midlife or going through it, I'll help you to deliver yourself pretty wholesome and satisfied on the other side. That's what I do, Stacy. And we're talking about grit and determination today.
Yeah, I don't know about this, Curtis Brooks. I don't know that I agree with you and Wayne, but I'm happy to be outnumbered today because I stand by what I said. Summer is not over yet, but we're excited to be here.
You know, Stacy, I look at the traffic in the morning, and one of the benefits of being an entrepreneur and working remotely is I don't have to face it every day. But when I do go out, I'm reminded that when traffic is flowing, it's summer. When the traffic isn't, it's the end of summer. So let's just leave it like that.
Oh, that's so interesting. See, because it's kind of the opposite here. So maybe it depends on when school is starting or when people, are wrapping up their vacation season. For us, traffic is a lot lighter in the summer, and then people really start getting back on the grind and, back to traffic. So
yeah, that's what I mean. So because I have to observe those 15 miles an hour but I know school has started, and for me, summer is done.
It's all about the speed limit.
That's right. I watch the speed limit to decide on the type of season we are in. Today, Stacy, we're talking about Beyond Limits, the journey to grit and determination. And, we have been talking about a lot of stuff. I think we're like at the 28th episode today, Stacy, since we started our season on February 27th.
I think you're right.
And yeah, we just want folks to know, by the way, we're not disappearing and going away. We are repurposing and coming back even stronger, bigger, bolder, and better. Right. So we'll be taking off maybe September, and we are going to have a new way of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. Life is really about evolving, about showing our resilience. And I'll say, even as we imagine and evolve into season two, we want to encourage our listenership and our viewership to share your ideas. What would make the Midlife Revolution podcast more engaging to you, more informative to you? What would be most relevant to you? And what kind of content would help you to share it out to others? So we certainly value you and we want to hear from you. So please uh, don't forget to put your comments in the feed. Those we can see on LinkedIn. Good morning, George. We're happy that you're joining us today. Don't forget to share your comments with us so that we can. You are the midlife revolution, so let's make sure we hear from you. Hit it, Wayne.
Yeah. Now, Stacy, when we talk about grit and determination, let me posit this idea. I think, to be fully transparent, that I would rather work with or hire a leader that, rather than expertise, comes with a greater sense of grit and determination.
Hmm.
My take on that is, yes, you have to have expertise in whatever you're doing. That's a strength, yes. But even experts can falter and fail, as it were, and show a lack of resilience if it isn't coupled with grit and or determination.
Mm-hmm. I like
For
this. I like that. I agree. As a leader, I've experienced and can immediately recall many times when the situation presented the need for my determination, the need for me to feel and think even with a little bit of grit. Grit is that friction, right? Everything is not always smooth sailing, and so really utilizing and beginning to use grit um as real fuel, or as a foundation, if you will, to lead, to inspire, to solve problems. And so I accept your idea about not just looking for expertise, but also really looking at someone's or somebody of people, what their ability to bounce back is. You and I have talked about the bounce back, and what level of grit and determination do they have in moving through the problems and coming out victorious. I really like it.
And thank you, Stacy. Grit and determination is something that's attainable by any of us and all of us. So, as we talk about midlife, the journey, which is really not a milepost in terms of age per se, but more in terms of where we are through the trajectory of our lifespan.
Yes, yes, yes. So Wayne, let me ask you a question and kind of pinch hit some of our heavy hitters for today. What would you say are some of the habits that our uh, cohort, right, our midlife, and you self identify as midlife, right? We're saying this to our listening and viewing audience. You self identify as midlife, and what would you say, Wayne, are some of the habits that our cohort would need to let go of in order to really press beyond their limits and utilize grit and determination?
Let's look at seven of them, Stacy, and we want to start off with the fear of failure.
Mm,
The fear of failure. Now, a lot of us hold ourselves back, and it's really because of self preservation, or it's the need to stay in a comfort zone. As a result of that, we stay stuck, we freeze, we have flight. We talked about this in a previous episode.
Mm-hmm.
We refuse to face challenges because of the fear of failure.
Agreed. I couldn't agree more. And I thought about the fear of failure, and it comes up more often even than I realized until I started to bring thought to it. And I started back, and when I was younger and moved from one place to another with no job and all of that, right? And so there was certainly a fear of failure, but I think I can bring it even to more relevance to today. And when you and I first started connecting and talking about the possibilities of what working together could look like, we talked about not just the podcast, but what if it fails? What does that, do we really want to put ourselves out there? And so we're being, I'm being transparent on our behalf, to our listening and viewing audience. And it is this, we had to decide individually and collectively that we were going to move past that fear of failure, of embarrassment, of uh, lack of success, whatever, someone else would define that to mean, and move forward, determined to get our voices out there, get um, to really shine a light on this beautiful audience, the midlife community, those in their second half, those in their third quarter. And so for me, that was a real reminder of how the fear of failure can impact, and how we have the determination, the grit and determination to move through it.
As I
Good
glanced,
afternoon, Janelle.
as I glanced at my notes, I saw that our number two issue or barrier towards success, especially as we look at our midlife, is that of
Mhm.
procrastination. Procrastination, waiting for tomorrow and the right time to get it done. That is a major deterrent in terms of thrusting and moving forward for many of us.
Yes, I think that anyone can listen to at least the last two episodes of the Midlife Revolution and hear how procrastination can really hold us back. We talked about our successes. We talked about time management last week. And so here we are really talking about grit and determination, and procrastination pops up again. And so clearly it can really be a barrier, a hindrance to our success. And so we encourage each of you to really think about, in those moments when you are not moving forward as you desire, is there procrastination involved, and what is the next step that you can take in order to break that pattern of procrastination? And both Wayne and I as coaches often talk to our clients about breaking patterns. And so how can you begin to break the pattern of procrastination?
Absolutely. Number three, Stacy, I would say would be being ego driven. And so we all have egos. Oftentimes it serves to protect us. But the problem with that is when we become a little bit more narcissistic,
Mm-hmm.
and we are concerned about self more so than serving and having a larger why. That burying, sort of like the turtle, putting our head inside and not being able to move out beyond and see the world from the perspective of the second and the third and even the fourth person is one of the reasons why we're stuck in terms of moving forward as we deal with midlife. I've heard folks say, I'm too old to do this. And it's really about us looking at ourselves from a perspective of self judgment and
Mm.
judgment in general of the world and others, just because it's about I, me, ego.
Such an important barrier to identify. Many of us, when we hear the word ego, we think of easing God out, right? And so the focus of the decision making, the focus of the forward momentum is really about self. It is not about the greater good. It is not about how your actions, decisions are impacting others. And this focus of self, to your point, really prevents us from taking risks in ways that build our determination and make greater impact. And so I love that we really highlighted this, right? That it can also, the ego driven decisions can really lead us down a path of regret and disappointment, and neither of those foster grit and determination. The disappointment might, right, if you are really looking at it in ways that you've learned, but if you're too focused on self and making decisions that are focused on you, it will certainly be a barrier to your resilience, your grit, and your determination.
Ball of wax, Stacy, you are on fire today. Always. Yes. Before I jump off ego, what we face oftentimes in psychological terms are three types of ego: the parent ego, the child ego, and the adult ego. And the parent ego is that one that we're accustomed to, that tells us, don't do this. It judges us. You're not good
Mm.
enough. And sometimes we get caught into defining ourselves through that ego. And then
Mm-hmm.
there's the child ego that accepts, I'm not good enough. That means I'm worthless. That means I'm not able. That's the child ego. And the adult ego is the one that rationalizes and says, hey, come on now. Don't hold on to that stuff. So we have to move beyond that ego driven piece, and get to our successes. Number four, as we're halfway through, a little bit less. Number four is negative self talk. And this is key because, as you know, I am of the framework that our beliefs drives drive our values drive our thoughts, our feelings, our behaviors, our habits, and our outcome, and our sense of self.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're having negative self-talk, it's going to curtail or inform how we behave and the outcomes that we have. So that's one of the things we have to manage and monitor.
Yeah, the negative self talk is huge. And, people go to the gym and get or hire a personal trainer because the way that they're currently moving, treating their body is not necessarily positive. And oftentimes we struggle with negative self talk and patterns of negative self talk, and need to look at coaches like we would a personal trainer, someone that will help us break the pattern of negative self talk and start to play a new song or write a new story. The negative self talk continually tells us of what we're not capable of the grit or determination that we do not have, of the reason for us to procrastinate, and reminds us that we are not worthy. That's what negative self talk does. And so it is critical to break those patterns if we want to live our best lives, right? If we really want to press beyond the limits and engage a higher level of grit and determination. So I encourage our listenership, our viewership, to really think about, is negative self talk something that you are struggling with, managing? Do you consistently, the song, made a post talking about the record, right? The record. So, us midlife people, we all know what records are. Don't pretend. Is that song that is playing one of a bad melody and horrible harmony? Or is the song that is playing one that is fostering a positive self concept and positive self talk? And so you can tell I can go on and on about negative self talk.
That's
So I'll stop
powerful,
there.
powerful stuff, Stacy. And so the first step really is awareness. We
Yes.
must listen to the song that's playing. We must not deny it. And once we own it and acknowledge it, right, then we do something about it.
Yes.
Right? You can flip the album, you can change the album, you can slow
Mm-hmm.
it up, you can speed it up, but you are totally responsible. You're not a victim, you're a victor if you own that mindset. And
Amen.
then number I think we're at number 4,
No, we're at
5.
6. I don't know. I'm
5, I
lost.
think we have 2 to go after this, is seeking comfort. And that's simply the idea that we are afraid of being uncomfortable. A lot of times we just don't
Mm.
want to get out of that comfort zone because stretching ourselves, like in the gym, like doing anything where you're going to expand your girth, your muscles, your grit and your determination is what's going to
Mhm.
make the difference. On the starting line, two folks who are equally yoked in terms of talent, the one with more determination is always going to win because that's the way it is. So
That was so good.
getting out of your comfort zone.
Yes, yes. And of course, so we want to welcome our LinkedIn user where it doesn't have a name, but good morning to you and welcome to the Midlife Revolution. I think that is so great. And of course, a song came into my head. It was Vanessa Williams. I can't tell you if I think it was the 90s, and it was, welcome to the comfort zone. But that comfort zone was a good comfort zone, a comfort zone of home, of being safe, of being loved. We are not talking about that kind of comfort. We are really talking about the comfort that stops you from making forward momentum, that kind of keeps you in this safe space in a way that doesn't push your boundaries and expand your thinking and your positive actions and forward momentum. And so I couldn't help but share that song, but wanted to remind us that this seeking comfort can hold us back from pressing beyond our limits.
Yeah, yeah. And we have always said this before there is breakthrough, there's
Mm.
usually some form of breakdown. And this is, if you look at your own life, the greatest successes you've had to pay the price for it. It just doesn't come. And that price may mean giving up time, energy, space, and even people.
Yes, yes, the breakup.
And that can be very uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other side of the door is where the breaking through happens. And then number 5, and I want to just welcome and thank the folks that are joining us on Facebook as well. And before we go, we're going to remind folks our next step on this journey in midlife revolution. Number 6, Stacy, is living in the past. Now, as midlifers, we have a lot of stories to tell. And sometimes those that are on the listening end get stuck with us telling the stories.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
living in the past does nothing for moving you forward. And if you're truly about success, then grit and determination means burying the past or using it, as I say, to inform of the present so that you can then launch into the future.
Absolutely. It makes it, living in the past calls for some really clear affirm decision making, right? Because we do make a choice. We have agency, and we decide if we're enjoying, if we're truly enjoying, if we're really thriving where we're living. And so if living in the past is really propelling you in the direction that you want to go, power to you. Yet, what we do know is that if you want to press beyond the current limits, if you want to expand your boundaries and live the life that you were put here on earth to live, to make the impact that you were put here on earth to make, living in the past will not foster that. Really identifying what are the hindrances in the present that we need to deal with. What are the strengths that we have in the present that we can use as fuel that can really propel us with grit and determination into the future?
Thank you, Stace. And then rounding it up with number 7, the things that we tend to get trapped in that prevents us from really thrusting, moving forward, and living, as Stacy says, thriving rather than striving or
Mm-hmm.
surviving. And number 7 is perfectionism. You've heard the terminology, better done than perfect. You know, winners perfect their game. And so we see in the Olympics people who look like a perfect 10 in what they do. But I'll tell you that they fall much more often than they stand being perfect. In other words, you become perfect, yes, but it's not because you started out there. You go for it. You fail, and you fail again and again and again, but you get it done.
Yeah, Wayne, there's something about this perfectionism, and I cannot really clearly, I can't talk to the number of men that struggle with perfectionism, but I know, and there's research that talks about the number of women that struggle with perfectionism. And we can, we can go left and talk about the societal impacts of why women often struggle with perfectionism. But what we do know is that perfectionism is a false goal. It does not exist. We cannot be perfect. And for those of us that believe in Jesus Christ, we believe that there is none perfect but one. So if we know already that we cannot be perfect, how can we, and this ties directly to the negative self-talk, how can we identify where we are dealing with perfectionism and challenge that negative self-talk? Because perfectionism, it has to be a certain way, or I'm not going to put it out there until it looks like, somebody that's been doing it for 20 years. That type of perfectionism only holds us back. It causes us to procrastinate. It causes us to not take risk. It causes us to not really move forward in ways that are meaningful. And so a number of the women that I've worked with, whether they were able to label it perfectionism or whether we together identified it as perfectionism, I can tell you that this is something that a lot of us, and I've had my moments of perfectionism, so I say us, a lot of us are constantly working on, constantly identifying to challenge.
Stacy, thank you. And let us leave folks with some action steps. We're going to challenge you to just pick one thing that you've been
Mm,
putting off and decide to do it now. It's a decision away while it's still fresh in your mind, right? And tomorrow or this week, do one more thing that you'd rather not do. Simple assignments. But this is about grit and determination. Commit. And so commitment is giving up everything, not just participating in the process. It's making sure that the outcome is as defined. And that's about grit and determination.
I love it, Wayne. That one, your one step is a sign of your determination. You have the power to really move forward. And you have such great resources in order to tackle some of these big issues. So, if it is fear of failure or negative self talk or procrastination, whatever it is that you believe is holding you back, seek the resources that you have. Wayne is a great coach focused on men. We know other great coaches. We know
And
valuable
Stacy, a
resources.
great coach focused on women.
Yes, yes, yes. What can I say? What can I say? It is because our hearts are focused on seeing people win. Wayne's motto is he'll see you at the top. And mine is I'm cheering you on. And it is truly because we believe we are here to see others win. So we encourage you as we wrap up our season finale. Know that we will be back. We will stay in touch. We look forward to hearing from you. And we wish you grace and peace and greatness in the meantime.
Stacy,
Wayne, what you got to say?
I'm going to do the outro in a minute, but would you mind putting up our contacts, all our handles, just to remind folks that you can, in the intercession, you can still reach out to us, and we're happy to schedule no obligation discovery call to see if where you are having some issues around your midlife journey, you know, whether it's around your professional and career decisions, your sense of wellness and well-being, and your relationships. Plug into us, please, and let's see if we're a good fit for each other so we can take you through to the next half. Again, we're going to come back and we're going to be bringing experts on to share with you, and we're going to be sort of changing the format. We're not sure yet if this is going to be the ideal time frame, but we're asking you to stay in touch with us so that we can hear from you how to look even better, bigger, and bolder. I want to shout out Brother Curtis, who's been supporting us. And Brother Curtis has, just follow him, please, on LinkedIn, Curtis Brooks. He is doing some leadership podcast, and those happens on Thursdays at 8. So follow up with our good brother Brooks, Curtis Brooks. Stacy, that's it for me for today.
Well, that's it for us. Stay in touch with anybody that's following the midlife revolution because they are all doing some fantastic and phenomenal things. You have been a blessing to us, and we hope that we are continuing to be a blessing to you.
And there you have it, folks. This week's episode of the Midlife Revolution. Hey, we truly appreciate you spending this time in this space with us. Join us next week at the same time as we dive into relevant topics and present solutions to spark new thinking and empower your midlife journey.
Don't forget, if today's episode resonated with you, share your thoughts and suggest topics in the comments. And of course, remember to subscribe, share, like, and hit that notification bell. You are the Midlife Revolution. I'm Coach Stacy, and I'm cheering you on.
And I'm Coach Wayne, and I'll see you at the top.